Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Binns, and we're here tonight to visit the brand new Beverly Police Station and get a guided tour by the Chief of Police, John LeLacheur. Thank you, John, for taking your time to give us the tour.
Oh, it's certainly our pleasure. This has been something that's been long overdue, long in the waiting, long process, but we're anticipating moving in 1 or 2 weeks from today, and we can't wait to get in the building and start getting down to services for the city of Beverly.
Well, I guess the first question is everybody going to fit in this one?
Well, I'll fit in this one. This is 32,000 square feet compared to 9,100 square feet. So we're going from 9,100 to 32,000.
So you finally get the whole department together.
And we're in 4 buildings right now. We'll all be in 1 building.
Super, that's great.
Yep. And we'll actually have hot water.
Yeah, I remember that one. The argument over the hot water tank.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay, we're in the lobby. What happens if somebody walks in here?
Yes, this will be the general entrance from the public. So you'll come in Center Drive from Elliott Street to Cummings property and then immediately right into our parking lot. This will be the main entrance to the lobby. This will be open 24 hours a day. We have the police window if you need police service. So if you need to speak to an officer, file a report, get some advice, the police officer will be there. Off to the left, Monday through Friday days, will be our records bureau. If you need copies of action reports, if you need copies of police reports for court presentations, things to that effect, that's where they'll be. Much different from the old setup at City Hall, where it was all done by having to come to a door, open a door, pass records back and forth. It's a much better system.
Yeah.
Also in the lobby, we have a fingerprint suite. The reason for that is that we have somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 licenses to carry and firearms permits within the city. They have to be renewed every 5 years, so there's a constant backlog of people that have to come in. So now they can come right in here, go into the fingerprint suite, be fingerprinted, not have to go into the booking room. We used to have times when we had prisoners in the booking room. Yeah. We couldn't fingerprint people for general business purposes. So now the licensing lieutenant will be able to take people right in there and do the interviews, do the fingerprinting, be able to take care of it right here. Also, sometimes people have to be fingerprinted for different jobs, whether they're school workers.
Yeah, Corey test.
Yep, they can come in and be fingerprinted in this room. We don't have to send them off to other facilities to do that. And then we have also a secondary interview room. So again, if someone wants to file a police report, the houseman will come out, the police officer working the station will come out, can take them in the interview room. They don't have to go into the police station, be escorted or handle, interrupt police operations. It can all be done in the lobby. Also, a lot of times through court order, people have to meet at the police station. They have to hand off kids during separation agreements. We can use these areas for waiting rooms so people can sit and have some place to kind of wait for those transactions to take place. There are 2 public restrooms, so if anybody just happens to come in and needs the use of a restroom, we'll have restrooms, something we didn't have at the station. Yeah. Again, you'd have to be escorted through the building or take up a police officer to do that. Now the restrooms.
So the public can walk into this space, conduct their business without interrupting the rest of the building. So one of our pride and joys of the building is having a community room. There's very little meeting space in the city, especially with parking. So this will be open to any organization that needs to use a meeting place. We'll use it for training. We'll use it for our meetings, our community Citizens Advisory Council meetings. The Human Rights Committee can meet here. PTO can meet here. PTA can meet here. The school committee can meet here. City Council can meet here. Anybody that needs a place to meet will be able to use this. Civic groups, if they need to use a spot, they'll be able to use this as well. How many people can you handle in there?
It'll hold about 44 people.
Okay.
Yeah. So we take a walk in.
Yeah.
So again, it's a smart building. It's a smart room. We can black out the shades if you're showing videos or movies or presentations, PowerPoint programs. The 9 screens on the TV can be used as 1 screen, or it can be used as 9 separate screens. Another reason that this room is set up is an emergency operations center. If we had very extreme weather event, we will use this as a meeting place for fire, police,
It's a command center.
DPW, it'll be a command center, right?
Yeah.
And again, we can bring up city cameras on these now, monitor what's going on, weather channels, news channels, and all operate on the same sheet of music, as the saying is. So
Well,
it's a dual purpose room.
How many city cameras do we have in place operating right now?
So right now, we have city cameras in every city building, the schools, City Hall, and obviously multiple cameras around this building. We have cameras in the harbor, and but there are no like street cameras or things to that effect. But we can watch what's going on in a lot of places via our cameras. So our security cameras here can see up and down Elliott Street. The cameras at City Hall can watch Cabot Street. The cities at the harbor can watch the bridge, the harbor, and we can monitor those. So again, that's something this room will be used for. There is a tie-in, so there's a camera on the wall. So if BevCam wanted to come in here and actually film a meeting, they could use our camera, hook into the technology that's here, and broadcast a signal throughout the city. There's two shades in those windows. Again, you can drop down to both dark and full dark, and if you're doing, again, showing some type of a movie in here.
That's super, yeah.
So on the same vein as the meetings, it's set up kind of like any other meeting room. There's a kitchenette in here, so people could set up refreshments and wait, and get their breaks, lunch. If we do trainings in here, again, we can bring in multiple police departments to do all types of different trainings, whether it's mental health training, defensive tactics training, whatever it is. Again, we can bring in lunches and entertain, those offices. This will go into the secured part of the building. This door would be closed to the public. But as always, the technology allows, if there was a fire in the building, this is an exit. So this door would then unlock, and people could exit out this door if they had to. Again, another work in progress. This is our dispatch area. It's being set up right now. Dispatch supervisor's office. This will be a break room for the people who are working here with a separate bathroom. Again, they don't have to go out the entire building now. Yeah. There are 4 consoles being set up here now. Currently, we have 2 in the police station. In the future, fire dispatch and police dispatch will all be in this room. And we have the ability, again, during major events, we have the extra overflow spaces, or maybe expand in the future if the ability is there to do that.
How much integration is there between you and the fire department?
100%. So we take right now, we take all the 911 calls for the city, whether it's police, fire, EMS. They all come to us, and then we notify the fire department, and then they'll dispatch out. Once we're all in the same room, it's obviously going to make things a lot easier.
Will there be somebody from the fire department stationed here?
No. They'll just be the dispatcher.
You will
The
call
deputy
them.
chief will still run the operation from the street. Yep.
Okay.
So this is still work in progress here.
Yep.
Again, another work area for the people who work in this area, lockers. Again, this will be the where the police officer will sit or talk to people who come in looking for directions.
the front lobby,
This is back to the front lobby, yep.
Yeah.
This is the officer in charge's office again. So the officer in charge runs all police operations for the city. The office will be here, direct access to the dispatch room. There's connectivity through intercoms. They'll be able to listen to that. Again, now we're back into the working side of the building. That's the inside of the records bureau,
Yep.
payroll office, and then coming down, just storage. Something we didn't have in the old police station is a room for what's called non-status offenders. So if we have a runaway or a juvenile that's been involved in a minor incident, we can have them sit in this room. So it's not a jail cell. They're just sitting in this room. There'll be a television set, and they're waiting for a parent to pick them up or whatever the case may be. But they're separated from anybody else when it comes to minor things. This will be our employee entrance here.
Yep.
This will just be a display cabinet. We'll put some historic things here. It's funny that one of the very first things that was found on site when they're excavating was an old shoe mold.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously from when American Shoe was here and making the equipment to make the machines to make shoes.
United Shoe Machinery
there was an old mold,
Corporation.
right.
Yeah.
We'll go down here and then back around. So that's just an exit.
Yep.
Again, something we never had is a simple thing like a laundry room. Prisoner blankets, things to that effect, we used to have to send out to be laundered.
Yeah.
Now we can do it in-house, save a little bit of money there. Also, if an officer was involved in a confrontation in the street where their uniforms totally get messed up, they could actually come down and immediately throw them into a washer and take care of that, which is definitely a huge benefit. Mechanical room, so again, this building is geothermal and eventually will be solar powered. So geothermal, we have 38 500-foot wells. The entire building is on electric, and what happens is that the water comes through a heating element. So right now it's, 72 degrees outside. We're taking that, say, 75-degree water, sending it down 500 feet. It's coming back up at about 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Then fans are blowing through it, and that's where the air conditioning of the building comes
Yeah,
from.
it's a heat pump.
Heat pumps. And so
Yeah.
traversely in the winter, you're going to take that 20-degree air, put it down to 50 degrees, back it up, and then we just have to heat it to a range.
Yeah.
In the latter part of the year, we've been putting solar panels and decking all outside, so that we will be a net zero building once all the solar's done and all the geothermal's working properly.
One of the things I'm curious about is when we were considering the middle school, we tried to make that geothermal by having heat pumps there, and the soil wouldn't take it. There's a difference between here and there?
Apparently there was. I
Yeah.
don't know if there was too much granite there where they couldn't drill, where this was a lot of peat. And because
Okay.
this was probably riverbank at one time or ocean,
Yeah.
bank. So they were able to do it here.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
difference that gets me is, that's less than a mile away.
Correct.
Yeah.
Animal control office, again, our animal control officers are in a different building in the city, so we'll all be together in the same building.
Yeah.
So this is the booking area. So again, if the officer in charge has to come down or the houseman has to come down to book a prisoner, they secure their weapons. There's never any weapons allowed in the booking area. Can do a kind of a quick walkthrough. So again, if an officer makes an arrest, they'll come in this door here, and when we're operational, none of these exterior doors would open if this interior door was open. It's a safety security thing. So once these doors were closed, they could open those garage doors, they'd pull in, they'd have to close those garage doors before they could access the booking area. Again, it's a security feature. So the officer would come out, secure their weapons, take the prisoner out of the cruiser, and put him into this little area here, close the door, and they would just wait until they could get to the booking process. The police officer would then come back through here. Again, they'd come in here, come up here, and they would start the booking process. So there's a window to talk through. If it's a compliant person, they're probably unhandcuffed, just sitting in there. They're doing the booking process. Once that's done, they come through, property is taken, the property is locked in a property room, which has very limited access. The person's then brought down and put into a cell. So we have 5 male cells in this room. Again, very, very different from the old cells in the current police station, which actually have bars, have plexiglass upon them. This is the absolute most modern setup you can get.
Up to date, yeah. That's good.
And these are all electronically set up. So even though it's key operated, there's actually an electronic signal to snap the door. So when a door, normally, they'll be left locked open, so that if you bring somebody in, they can't grab the door and slam it on you. So they're locked open. The person would be asked to go in over to the corner. It's electronically open and then closed and then locked, and then they can open up these windows again. If they haven't been unhandcuffed, they can now have them unhandcuffed. The same thing if they're going out to court. You could have them back up, you could handcuff them, and then open the door to bring them out. Same thing, meal pass-throughs. If we're giving them meals, whatever, they go through here. The way they're set up, they can actually get their own drink of water. There's a cold water.
Yeah.
You know, in the old days, they'd have to wait for the officer to come to the inspections to get to the water. By code, and what we do is, if we do have a prisoner, a certain amount of time goes by, an officer physically has to come through the cell block and check them. So what they do is they come by, they check them, they have to go down, hit their access card,
So it's computer dated and stamped what time the officer comes down through. One thing on these cells, though, it's a little different too, is a person in a cell can't flush their own cell. We have to flush it for them. The reason for that, there have been people that have taken a roll of toilet paper, jammed it into the toilet, and continuously flush until it overflows.
Yeah.
That eliminates that. And if they're really acting up like that, we can actually turn off the water.
Yeah.
So there's, like I said, there's the 5 cells here. Also a little bit about this too is that access, every cell can be flushed from here. All the garage doors can be opened from here. All light access is here, so if it's late at night, we can actually turn the lights down or off if there's somebody, you know, trying to take a snooze. Breath machine will be here, fingerprint machine will be here. All of the booking photos are done here. This color is mandated by CJIS, the Criminal Justice Information System. That way, every single police department uses the same background color.
Yeah.
So if we're doing photograph matches, we can get photographs from other cities, and everyone has the exact same background. So
What's the bars for on the side?
both handicapped and if you have to hold somebody to it.
Okay.
Yep. These are our 2 female cells, no different. Again, something that we don't have in the current police station is a separate sound site separated cell. So if we had a juvenile that has committed a very serious crime and has to be placed into a cell, they can be put down here and held here. They're separated from adults both by sound and sight. So,
Okay.
and it's also a handicapped cell. Now this can be used for an overflow cell if we don't have juveniles, and if we had 8 prisoners.
So this is juveniles only?
No, it can be anybody, but if we had a
Primarily
juvenile, they would go here, yeah. But it's also, we have 2 handicapped cells, and again, if we needed a second handicapped cell.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's handicapped because of the way the
sink
sink
is,
is
yeah.
for a wheelchair, yeah.
Yeah.
Once a person's being released, so now they're going to do all of their paperwork up top. They're going to get their property brought down. They're going to go into this room here. They're going to be they're going to have a seat in here, and they're going to wait for the bail commissioner. Again, it's another interview room also if we need to do interviews of somebody in the cell block. They don't have to be brought back through the police station. We can do interviews here. There's a recording system in here for interviews, and it's also another security area.
So you visual and sound?
This is always visual, but there's a special way to turn on a recorder and sound.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just visual, yep.
Yep.
And then once that's done, the bail commissioner's in here, he does the paperwork, and then what we do is we kick them right up. We release them right out onto Elliott Street. So again, they don't come back through the building, they're put right out. Again, that way we're not taking prisoners or people who've been arrested throughout the building or in and out of the lobby. Everyone's released right outside Elliott Street.
Okay.
So this will be the report room. So when the officers are done, booking their prisoners, or if they have to do an action report, there'll be obviously chairs, computers in here, and this will be where the officers do their actual report, right?
Yeah.
Multiple custodian rooms. The IT suite. And it's still kind of filled up, but you can see the technology and
Oh, yeah.
all the servers, all the computer lines, all the phone lines. Just be careful how you'll stick to that.
You'll be here forever.
All the 911 systems will be in here.
Now, Beverly has its own 911?
Yes, so we intake all the 911 calls and text message 911 calls.
What's the deal with the county-wide one they were supposed to?
It all comes to us now.
So that's okay.
Yep.
So that thing fell apart.
Well, no, they're still operational, but we decided to.
We're not part of it.
They geo-fence off certain parts of like 128. So if you're on your cell phone, you're on 128, and you dial 911, it goes to the state. But if you're on Brimble Ave, it comes to us.
Okay.
So now we're getting more up into the workspaces of the building.
Thank you.
Locker rooms. This is a female locker room.
How many female officers do you have?
Right now we have 6. There's 20 female lockers and 80 male lockers. So again, there's always room for expansion. The way this is set up, in the future, if we had more female officers, this entire wall can be pushed back and lockers added.
Put another wall of lockers in, yeah.
Yep. There's a mother's nursing room.
What's your total staff?
Right now, we're at 70 officers and then 6 reserves. And again, a lot of these are just basic office. This is like an overflow workspace for lieutenants and sergeants that don't have offices.
Yeah.
So a lot of the patrol sergeants and the lieutenants, they work out of the OIC's office. They don't have actually a desk to work at.
Yeah, it depends
So if
what
they
shift.
needed workspace, they could come up here and work up here.
Depends on what shift they're on, so
Correct, yep.
it turns over with each shift.
So if they're doing a performance evaluation or something else, they have workspace.
Yeah.
Just a file archive room. Male locker room, again, pretty much similar. Something again, I mean, we had a shower that didn't work, now we have 2 that work. And a much better space, obviously, as modern as it can get. These are all, I thought there was one that was open. So these lockers are, it's not great lighting in here, but these lockers are twice as wide as the lockers currently in the station.
Yeah.
What they have is,
Oh, a double side.
they have power up with a USB outlet so you can plug in your cell phone chargers, your portable charger, just leave them there. It's kind of a high shelf, but that's stuff that we left there. Individual, you can actually lock, put another lock for personal items on the inside, and then your storage. And then underneath, there's a drawer for your boots, ballistic vests, and you have a day that it's very humid, 100 degrees. You come back in, your vests are usually soaking wet. Put it on the drying rack, close everything up. There's total ventilation systems through the entire locker room, so you come back in the next day, that's totally dry.
Oh, that's neat, yeah.
And again, something that's coming in the future that we talked about will be our training simulator. Again, right now it's an empty room,
Yeah.
but when we get our simulator, what you'll have out here is 5 screens that cover 330 degrees with 2 cameras, and we can put up scenarios on the screens. We can train in de-escalation, we can do firearms target training, active shooter training, there's a myriad amount of different scenarios that we'll be able to train on. And it's all via computers and simulated weapons. Mm-hmm. And the operator can change the scenarios on the fly. So if you have a scenario going on, they can add people into it, they can take people out of it, they can make someone be compliant if they're being told what to do and the officer's handling it correctly. They can ramp it up, ramp it down, all by the way the computers are set up.
Yep.
And one thing that they will do is they'll actually videotape in Beverly at some facilities with some of our officers in the tapes. So you're in the scenario now, you'll actually be looking at, say, Beverly High School, and then as you look to your right, you'll actually see one of your Beverly police officers on the screen. So it brings in that reality.
Yeah.
The weapons are all computers. They're actual pistols and rifles, but they're computers, and you can actually use the magazine in it, which is filled with compressed air, to malfunction. So as you fire 2 or 3 rounds, the computer can tell the weapon to jam, and the officer has to go the clearing mechanism. So it's an incredible system.
Yeah.
So once, again, officers will come up the stairway, they'll go into the locker room, they'll get ready for the day, they'll come in here for the daily briefings. So this is the roll call room. This is where they're brought up on current events, what's going on in the areas. if we have any people who are wanted and looking for, if there are special areas of interest, we're having traffic problems on a certain street, the officer will be told for higher traffic enforcement, or if there's an empty building or a building that's been vandalized, they'll be told to keep an eye on it. That's all done in here. We can also do some small training here, or also briefings of outside agencies if we have an operation going on. There's a high-tech key box. It's nothing more than a box to lock keys in, but when it's operational, you'll need your fob, a 5-digit code. You'll have to put in which car you want to take out. They'll have to know what the car number is. The door will open, and the only key that they can remove will be the one key that they asked for. Okay. These all lock. They're in there. So one will turn green. It's the only key you can take. Same for tasers. There'll be locks. They'll put in what number they want. That'll go green. They'll take that out. They'll unlock the box, leave the key in it. So if they end up, mistakenly go home or put it in their locker at the end of the shift, you can bring up the computer program and see who has it.
Yeah.
And have them, bring it back in or whatever. And same with cars. We know who has every single car. We can also put different access. If we have, like we have a key to City Hall if there's an emergency, that could be here. But the only key that you can remove on that card with that time would be that one key. Yeah. Same with returning it. When you go to put it back in, if there's 5 spots open, there's only one that'll turn green that'll accept that key. If you're trying to put in another slot, it won't go in. Yeah. And that's done for tracking and security. Yeah. Again, something we never had is a break room. So this is a break room. Anybody that works for the department will be able to come in here, civilian and sworn. We're setting it up because they're still in the process of cleaning it, but the chairs and couches on the TV, the table will be back here for meals. There's also a countertop here. The offices own 2 vending machines. They'll be coming in. They'll bring those over from Cabot Street. But everything else is here: refrigerator, oven, stove, freezer, cooktop, microwave, and actually we're bringing over a coffee maker. We have one that's we call it hardwired, but plumbed, and with a filter on it. So that'll be coming in here tomorrow.
All the comforts of home.
All the comforts of home. Well, again, if you're working, sometimes 12, 16 hours, you need to sometimes decompress, and it's a great place to do so because they don't have it now at all. Again, just different offices: training sergeant, prosecutor, crime analyst. This is a weapons cleaning area, so this will be open to any officer that needs to come in and clean a firearm. So this will be set up. Officers should come in every month, take them apart, lubricate them, and be ready for the next shift. This will be a secured area that only 2 officers can get into, and this is set up for our extra weaponry we have. That should be red. So anything that we store in here that's not in service will be kept in here. Ammunition, pistols, any rifles or shotguns that we own that aren't issued to officers will be locked in here, but there are only 2 officers that have access to this. Mm-hmm. So once this is filled, I can't even get in here. Yeah. And again, that's for custody and control issues.
Yeah.
And you'll definitely get your exercise in this building with all the stairs going from 2 floors to 3 floors. Yeah. At least I will be. Mm-hmm. So again, this is just roof access, nothing really here. This is kind of a neat little area here. So this is evidence processing. So an officer has things that they have to put into evidence, whether it's a credit card in a case, a check, drugs, a rifle, a pistol, whatever it may be. They're going to come up here, process everything down, bag it, make sure it's done properly, and then they go into these lockers. Mm-hmm. So once something goes into a locker, doesn't matter if that one's already locked, that's locked. So you put it in there. Once it's in there, you push the button, that's it. Nobody can get at that except for the evidence officer. Now this room is set up where officers will have access to it. Again, it's the same type of thing. There'll be more evidence processing equipment in here, fingerprint machines, or I should say fingerprint analyzing equipment, photography equipment, label makers, so that all the evidence can be tagged and then put away. And again, just more of the same type of lockers.
Yeah.
So this door here, the reason we left open because once this is secured, again, there's only 2 people that can get in this room. The evidence clerk and the detective captain. No one else will have access to this. So when the officer comes in, the evidence clerk comes in, he'll open these doors and bring in the evidence from this side.
So the evidence is loaded from the
Yep.
other side, you pull it
Yep.
out here.
And then the same here. You saw me pull those. Now those are unlocked, the ones that I put in.
Okay.
Now they're ready for use again. And again, he or she will have these keys and only. They'll put stuff here if they need to do a little bit of work. They'll have a multi-function printer here. Same with this door here. 2 people only will be able to get into here. And then once they're in evidence, they're in evidence. So this is something you're going to get to see that probably you'll never get to see again for the next 50, 60 years. This will all be evidence storage.
Yeah.
We have large rollers, small rollers for files.
Yeah.
So again, the evidence officer will have, these will all be numbered, so when they bring in evidence, they'll know that, okay, I put evidence from this case in bin 2, or however he ends up marking these. And then
Yeah.
if they need to get it for court, the same thing, they know, okay, come to bin 2, it's on what shelf it's on, it'll be in their computer program, they'll be able to get it.
And
These are
again,
the same type of rolling racks that we have in the Records Bureau too. Not as much for the clerk, but it's actually a safety mechanism. So if one of the records clerk goes in to do something, someone else can't come in and not know they're there and pin them in because there's a safety lock.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if this is unlocked, I could roll them in there. So it's kind of important that you lock those up when you're in there.
yeah,
And then there's a separate room for guns and a separate room for drugs. And then a refrigerator for any evidence we have to have refrigerated. This will be a found property room, so if people all the time are turning in wallets, cell phones, laptops that they find, they'll come into the houseman, they'll take them in, they'll log them in, and that'll be stored here. Any superior officer will have access to this because if someone comes in to get it back, they'll be able to get in and get that back. This will be limited to only a few people. And then we're getting down to the Community Impact Unit and Criminal Investigation Division. So this is an interview room. Again, if they're doing interviews, they'll come in. Again, this is where the criminal interviews would be done, or follow-up interviews are just a private space. It also can be recorded, and you see everything in the building. Everywhere you go in this building, you're recorded for that purpose. This is the Detective Bureau, Detective Sergeant, Detective Captain, and then the detectives will have this space to work in.
yeah.
Again, they have a separate access to that interview room. Again, this is just basically workspace. And then across the hall from them will be Community Impact. So the Community Impact Sergeant.
Okay, what's community impact?
So what they do is they handle ongoing issues in neighborhoods. They also do all the follow-ups on opioid overdoses. They handle neighbor disputes that an officer doesn't have the time to say maybe spend multiple hours on. The community impact officers can. They handle a lot of the mental health issues. They handle a lot of the homeless issues. Again, instead of having an officer be tied up for multiple hours in cases, the community impact officers can spend the time. They also do a lot of our community relations. They host different events. They work on the Community Advisory Council. They're part of the Equity Task Force right now for the city. So they're a multifaceted unit and do a lot of things. So in here will be an officer, our jail diversion clinician, and also our domestic violence coordinator. They'll all be working together.
So domestic violence has another office on
No,
there.
that's actually, we've had to repurpose that office, so she'll be coming in here. Yep.
So your domestic violence unit is going to be here?
Right with Community Impact,
Yeah.
yep. So this will be a conference room that'll be open to, again, command staff meetings, or if we have to do, small trainings, if we have to do briefings for multiple agencies, a lot of times there's an ongoing criminal case involving multiple departments. We can all come in and use this. This will be available to anybody. More file storage. This is so all of the radios for communication, all the antennas come in from the roof. And then all the fire alarms, a lot of the fire alarm system for fire dispatch when that comes over, and again, all the internet connections.
When you say fire alarms for all the city buildings?
Yes, yep.
So you guys will get notified first?
Once fire operations moves in here, it'll all come to 911 downstairs, yep.
So you are integrated with the fire department to that extent?
Yes, yeah, but right now we're planning for them to come over here in the near future. So again, this is my administrative assistant, captain of operations, captain of patrol, and then my office. So one of the things that we did in every office, I didn't really point it out though, is we said to you, we try to match kind of beach colors. We went with the kind of sandwood, some blues and grays of the seacoast, the ocean. One thing we did put in every single office is a stand desks, so to let people move around a little bit. They can stand and work at their workspace and not have to be seated all the time. Trying to make it a little more easy on the back and legs and everything else. And then, like my office has a little conference table, and as you saw on the same as the conference room, this television, the one in the conference room, has the ability to do teleconferences as a camera, to do Zoom conferences built right into the sound bar. I have an HDMI cable here. I can actually hook up my laptop to the TV and do the same thing through that. So the building is as high-tech as can be, basically. And one of the analogies I make is we've gone from the Mayflower to the USS Enterprise. It's from 1938 technology with gas fittings and tube wiring to geothermal and solar and all the technology needed to run a modern police station.
When you say 1938, was that when the...
That's when the old building was built. So back, I found an old article that dates the police department back as far as I can find to 1872 when they were in City Hall, and that building on Cabot Street, the addition was built in 1938.
1930,
Yep. Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. So real excited. The guys are really excited. It's been a long time overdue, and we just can't wait to get working.
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds organized.
Yep.
Like you thought it through?
Well, as any plan goes, it changes daily. But we're trying to do the best to get in here, making sure everything works correctly. Actually taking our time to get in, because when we move, we want to make sure everything's working properly. We can't come in here and not have our systems work, because that's going to endanger the citizens.
You can't afford any downtime.
You can't afford any downtime. But one of the things that again, there's still going to be a lot of work going on site with the solar panels and other things coming up. So you're going to see work going on here for the next few months. And what we plan on doing is here we are at the beginning, the end of July, coming into the beginning of August. We plan on holding multiple open houses throughout the end of the summer into September, and we're planning a big one in October. We're just starting the plans for a big one in October. Because again, this building is owned by the 44,000 residents of Beverly, and we want them to be able to get in and see it.
Okay. Sounds great. So when do you think you're going to be fully operational?
Well, we're planning right now for August 5th to move over our computer operations, 911 systems and radios. Pending any delays, technology being the way it is, sometimes things happen that you can't foresee. It could be August 12th, but definitely going to be the first couple of weeks of August.
So the middle of August, you're up and running.
Should be 100% by then.
And then you're learning the system, and you'll fix it from there.
A lot of training. Again, I mean, it's a lot of ongoing training with the technologies, the systems. I mean, even the HVAC. It's all a computerized system where one person go into a program and control the HVAC.
What's the effect?
The heating, air conditioning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so everything is wireless run. There's still a lot of wireless has to be added to the buildings. As they started to go through and do checks of the area, they found that there was some dead spots. They have to add some routers. But again, with all of the internet connections we have, we don't foresee a big need for wireless. But there are times that you need some wireless connections in the building. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for coming, George. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
thanks for the tour. I appreciate it. Best of luck with the building.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening. And as the chief has mentioned, if you want your own personal tour, look on the websites and the city newspaper, and they will give you some dates. Plan on being here and see it for yourself. It's a great facility, and it's worth the $28 million we spent on it. Thanks again.